We're gonna start off with some stretches first. These are the exact same stretches I have all my clients do. We wanna start with our calves and work up the kinetic chain. So every time you go into the gym, you wanna try out these straight, simple stretches. Let's get these stretches right. What's up, y'all? It's Mitch with SST. Self-sustained training. Depending on your fitness goals, a lot of people don't realize you don't need to just jump into a gym and hit a crazy arm day or hit a crazy chest day or hit crazy legs or anything like that. Initially, when you start off weightlifting, when you start off getting into the gym, you should start off on a stability phase. You should make sure you get into the gym and stabilize those muscles before you start jumping in and start squatting all crazy or doing anything like that. So after you get from that stability phase, you're going to a more of an endurance phase. You want to make sure that those muscles are ready to endure a certain level of workload over an extended period of time. Once you've hit that endurance phase, you're going to a hypertrophy phase or a strength building phase. Before we even get into that, we're going to always do a series of stretches. And in these series of stretches, it don't matter if it's my professional clients, my amateur clients, if it's the people I train for kickboxing, for boxing, for combat cardio, whether it's my power lifters or my weight lifters, it don't really matter. Because ultimately these series of stretches I'm gonna put you through are the most optimal way to warm up your kinetic chain bottom up before you do any sort of physical activity. Start off with our calves first. Do calf scoops, scoop underneath these calves. Like I said, these stretches are gonna work up the kinetic chain. So with these calf scoops, I'm stretching that calf, which from bottom up will connect from the calf up to the quad and the hamstrings, to the glutes, to the lower back, which will then connect to like your hip flexors from the psoas muscle to the back to the front. So what we're doing is we're going up this kinetic chain, starting off with our calves. Once we've hit those calves, we're going to what's known as the 3 points of contact. 3 points of contact, legs spread out wide. We want to make sure we turn a static stretch into a dynamic stretch. So when you go static, we just hold this stretch here. Instead of just holding this stretch, we'll move, reach as far as we can, pop right back up. So we went from being static to being dynamic. So we'll do that dynamic stretch both sides. Then we'll go once down the middle. Boom. Both sides again. Down the middle again. Except for this time we'll go down the middle twice. And that's just gonna be a progressive buildup all the way to 5. So now we'll go right, left, middle. Now one more time. Bow. We'll do that all the way to 5. So like I said, we did our calves first. We just did our 3 points of contact to really stretch out the back of our hamstrings, going into our quads a little bit, but now we're really gonna work the rest of those thigh leg muscles going into our glutes as well with some squats. 3 points of contact, right after the calves, then go to our squats and trunk twists. So we'll squat down, make sure when you squat, our knees are parallel or behind our toes. Knees are parallel or behind our toes. A lot of the time when people squat, they're falling on those toes, and that tension's going on their kneecaps, on their patellar tendon, all the way through. And the easiest way you fix and correct that is fall back on those heels. You just gotta fall back on those heels. So every time we squat, fall back on those heels, knees parallel to the toes, if not behind the toes, all the way back up. So when we do this stretch, we'll do one squat, perfect squat, bow, back up, 4 trunk twists. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same with the 3 points of contact. We'll do a progressive build up to 5. So now we'll do our squats twice. 1, 2, 4 trunk twists. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same concept, do that all the way to 5. So after you've got all those trunk twists in, all those squats in, progressive build up to 5, we're gonna do one more stretch. Now this stretch, just like all these other stretches, we're turning a static stretch into a dynamic stretch. Dynamic stretches are the ones you want to do before a workout. They're your active stretches. They're like your high knees, your butt kickers, it's your jumping jacks. All those sort of things are dynamic stretches because they're fluid movements and motions as you're stretching. A static stretch is just that, it's static, you're not moving whatsoever. So we can turn something as simple as like the 3 points of contact, a static stretch, into a dynamic stretch And we'll do the same thing with a lunge. That's why we call this fourth stretch a dynamic lunge. So what we'll do is, same principle, we squat, our knee will be parallel or behind our toe. So we get real deep. I mean, watch how deep I am on this lunge. We'll get real deep on this lunge. Back leg hyperextended, flexed all the way out. Knee is parallel or behind my toe. So in this holding position, my sternum will be up, shoulder blades back. I'm gonna hold this for about 5 seconds. So this is somewhat of a static stretch in and of itself. But where it becomes dynamic is where I put my hands on the ground. From this hands on the ground, I'll hyperextend this front knee to get a deep stretch on the back of my hamstring. And we'll hold that for about 2 seconds. So we'll hold the sternum up, shoulder blades back, we're flexing and we're stretching this hip flexor to psoas muscle. And after we hold that for 5 seconds, we'll go down and we'll flex that knee for 2 seconds. 1, 2, back down. Flex that knee for 2 seconds. 1, 2, back down. Then we'll pop up. And we'll do that 3 times each leg. So once you've done all those stretches, now you're ready to work out. And that took me about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on your level of competency with those stretches overall. The more you do those stretches, the easier it'll become over time. It's just about doing it initially, getting used to them, getting comfortable with them, and then moving on over time. So now that we got those stretches in, we're gonna do one more stretch before we actually get into our workout.